And for business, Yuka's joined us. There's a growing trend called shrinkflation. Some supermarkets here in France have taken aim at food producers over that. Tell us more.
Well, Mark, as the name suggests, it's a business tactic to use to try and reduce costs, but very quietly. Now, recently, many food manufacturers have been curbing the impact of inflation by reducing the quantity of their products while charging the same or even higher prices to consumers. In France, some supermarket chains have launched a campaign to call them out. Emerald Maxwell has more.
Naming and shaming brands from Nestlé to Unilever, French supermarkets Carrefour and Intermarché are putting up shrinkflation warning signs on products that have decreased in size without a corresponding price reduction. Carrefour has so far singled out 26 products, which they accuse of hidden inflation. The shrinkage of this iced tea, for instance, has resulted in a 40% increase in the price per litre.
We consider that there's a lack of honesty towards customers and that the customer can be deceived because the product appears to be exactly identical to the previous products that they used to buy.
The supermarkets are aiming to put pressure on consumer goods companies for upcoming negotiations. Carrefour says companies are not cooperating in efforts to cut the price of thousands of staples, despite a fall in the cost of raw materials. Some brands, like this ice cream, frame the decision to shrink its sizes as for nutritional reasons, an excuse that doesn't wash with customers.
I'll try to avoid these products because it means that the company doesn't give a damn about me.
At the end of the day, it's the price that counts, nothing else.
Consumer groups say it's a growing practice, and one which supermarkets like Carrefour are also guilty of in their own label products.
Positioning yourself as the brand that defends consumers by naming and shaming brands is obviously a good idea in terms of communication. You just have to make sure you never get caught out at your own game.
Shrinkflation has come under fire from the government too, which says that companies will be required to indicate on labels when they modify the size of a product from November.
Meanwhile, the French government is trying to temporarily lift a ban on retailers selling petrol below cost. Prices of diesel at the pump started rising again over the summer after the OPEC Plus cartel cut its crude oil production. It's part of an effort to ease the burden of inflation on households. Economy Minister Bruno Le Maire said that a draft law to make this possible is set for debate in October and could come into force by early December. Some economists, though, warn that it could give a competitive advantage to big supermarket chains that also run petrol stations and could even tempt them to deceive consumers. Let's take a listen.
Some large retailers could be tempted to slightly increase prices on the shelves to try and compensate the lost revenue from fuel through higher prices of in-store products.
And with that, let's check in on the day's trading action. Wall Street shares ended the day flat as investor focus remains firmly on the Federal Reserve's next policy meeting that's coming up on Wednesday and whether it will keep interest rates unchanged there. In the United States, an unprecedented coordinated strike at all three of the largest American car makers is now on its fourth day with no signs of a breakthrough. The United Auto Workers Union and Stellantis, the owner of Chrysler, resumed negotiations on Monday after talks over the weekend saw little progress. More than 12,000 workers have walked off their job in targeted strikes at Ford, General Motors and Stellantis. Currently, only 3 plants, one for each automaker, are affected, but the union is warning to expand the walkouts. And that's it for business.
Yuka, thank you very much indeed. Yuka Roy there with all the business.